This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City Council Finance Committee for meeting for June 12th. It's 5:30 p.m. I see myself and Councillor Terrell are here, and Councillor Denham is attending remote. I don't believe we have any minutes to approve. Mayor, do you have anything you want to speak about? Okay. Wow, we're getting through this. Okay, there's no public here. So the first item up on the agenda is an interdepartmental transfer of $48,719.95 to the PEG access account. At this point, we've all been through this. I think we all know the drill. Anyone have anything to say, or else I would entertain a motion? So moved. Or yeah, I entertain a motion to recommend this appropriation to the full council. I should be more. Okay, so anyway.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Oh, and I do this roll call because we have a remote participant. So Councillor Denham.
Aye.
Councillor Terrell.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion passes 3-0. Okay, next thing we have is supplemental appropriation of $25,000 for FY24 legal costs. Mayor, would you like to?
Yeah, I mean, so one, this is the philosophy I have around legal costs is that we, I guess, appropriate as we go. And this covers some expenses that we've already incurred, and some ongoing court issues that we expect to come at. So we always ask at the end if we need money for that roundabout, because we don't know what's coming at us for year end, rather than have to go back. And we have some negotiation stuff that's wrapping up, but it has not happened yet.
Okay. This appropriation, I'm sorry, I don't have, I'm a little poorly prepared today, so please excuse me. Where's this appropriation coming from? Free cash. And what's the balance on free cash right now? Okay, so we can.
Excuse me, sorry, I couldn't hear. What's the balance? Oh, I still can't hear her. What?
A little over $1.5 million.
Okay, great. Thanks. Sorry, Hadel, I can't. First, I think you're too far from the microphone. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a, well, anyway. Okay, so we can, it's just something I feel like I should ask before we do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, this seems reasonable to me, and you know, this is a really tricky item to budget for, just because it's not, you know,
Yeah.
Some of our services, like, well, we're going to have this many people and they produce this many units of whatever, and with legal, it goes up and down. That's why we have an outside, solicitor.
Right, and we can't do, I mean, some people still do it, but retainers, like a lot of times, they're not, even if you itemize a retainer for legal services, you can't do that. Yeah, right. So it's pay as you go. And our attorneys are infamous for invoicing us in the last minute. So yeah, that's why they're running.
Okay. Councilors, any questions? All right. In that case, I would entertain a motion to recommend this appropriation to the full council.
Second.
Motion and a second. Councillor Denham.
Aye.
Councillor Terrell.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion passes 3-0. Okay, finally, we have a slightly larger one. This is $1.3 million from free cash to general and capital stabilization. Would you like to?
Yeah, so close in working with the auditor and looking at revenues of that last quarter and what we have in free cash. We ask when we can, and this is a part of the overall strategy, right before we can't spend free cash and it locks down for 6 months, we transfer as much as we can to capital stabilization and just general. So we have access to it over the summer as we need it. Helpful with if we have an equipment or a major repair, we can access that money. There's not like finagling or figuring out how we do it. And then with capital stabilization, you just don't know when like a grant is going to be approved and the local match. And so before we can go, a lot of them are tight timelines. So we want to be able to sign those contracts as soon as possible to get it out to RFP. And we can't do that unless we have all the money like available, not like, okay, it'll come out of free cash. Then we have to wait. So this is also kind of how over the last few years, we got ready to pull money out of stabilization for the budget gap. So it would, at that point, and I would, the number is not arbitrary. Auditor Hadel worked and watched on this and made a recommendation of what we could do or not. There is still money left over at the end of the year for these, like the last minute, appropriation, something pops up or whatnot. So we have, it's not like we're draining the account and kind of crossing our fingers and then having to come back in August or September or whatnot for a prior fiscal year bill. That's not the intent. We feel there's ample money left over, and then that money would roll over.
Right.
And I needed to Hadel to add more detail and whatnot. Or
you are welcome at the table.
Thank you.
So when I did the analysis for this recommendation, what I did is I take into consideration all the appropriations which were on the table. It was all approved by the city council. Every department should not have anything big coming at this point unless they failed to notice it or something came up like last minute and it just happened and they had no clue that it's coming. So what I did is I took the balance amount and then I left, like we were going back and forth. We started with 1,000,006 and 4. And then it's like, well, we still have some more money. We still are leaving almost $209,000 on the table. And then I looked into the reserve fund. We have 187. So it's almost like $400,000, a little bit over $400,000. I do not expect, as I said, unless something is drastically missed, I do not expect anything from the departments. So I feel comfortable with 400,000 for the end of the year transfer if needed. But within the department, it should be taken care. It would not need to go beyond this number. So what we agreed, I recommended, Mayor agreed, is 550 for general stabilization and 750 for capital stabilization, just to save this money because it closes again it expires. So it rolls into the next year. So then it's a bigger amount and people think like, oh, it's too much. Why? That's not how it goes. The calculation for the free cash is not just like 2 things or 3 things on there. There are multiple factors which were taken into consideration when free cash calculation is estimated. We've been lucky from last 4 years because of CARES and FEMA money. Quite a bit of one-time expenditures were taken out of those CARES and FEMA money and now ARPA money. But now since ARPA money is going away, CARES and FEMA is all set, what we're going to see is we're going to see a drastic change, a drop actually, into free cash certification. So like if you talk about 3 years ago, we had almost $5 million in there. Last year before it was 4, now it's 3. Next year might be 2 or somewhere. I'm not saying anything, but it's going to decline. 2025 is going to decline more because we had a budget gap, and that budget gap we covered through general stabilization by $1.8 million. So this is what we are doing, and I don't think we would be able to do it for a long time. If we can, that's good, but we are trying. What I am recommending, and Mayor agreeing to it, is to have some kind of stability in finances for future unexpected expenditures coming our way. Like I was at the conference, $6.2 million deficit in one of the communities just for the school budget. I said, what are you doing? Oh, it's back down to 1.2. I'm like, how? 28 layoffs. Yeah. Yes, we are not there yet. I am working very closely with the numbers, with Mayor, to see what we can bring on the table and save. But remember, this is all one-time money. So we have to be careful of what steps we're going to take. We're working constantly in conversation with the negotiations and all that. So we're trying to do our best. So.
Yeah, I mean, again, as Heda was saying, like the big free cash and rollovers, it's done. There are a couple of efficiency kind of things coming our way. As far as whenever we get there with the new financial software package and looking how we can trim operational stuff. That's a part of it, but we're getting ready to have much less free cash, the stability in the government. I mean, 25, 26, I don't know, we go back and forth, will be the tightest year, but I think it's 26 is going to be pretty tight, and this gets us ready for it. Not that we're saying, oh, okay, we're fine because we're going to take it out of stabilization, but if something changes, like I'm really worried about next year's fiscal 26, the state budget and chapter 70 and chapter 90 and local aid, just given that they might dip into state stabilization this year to balance the budget.
Yeah.
So if they're short this year and they're going to use one-time money, what will happen next year?
Yeah.
And the year after that.
Yeah. And just to add to this, I had a opportunity to talk with DOR representatives this morning at Cape Conference. And one of the things they are constantly enforcing every community, if you're using one-time money, find a way now how you're going to backfill that. So, for example, we are using $1.8 million from general stabilization to cover the gap for 25 fiscal year budget. Next year, meaning 26 budget, you have this time right now to increase your local fees. You have time to look into all your assessing values, make sure everything is up to date. One of the other sessions were, I forgot the name of the whole title, but it's like work together, and it had to do with BLA, MCTA, which is treasurer collector, assessing, DOR, DLS, all the team, the big shots were on the same panel talking who does what, and there were jokes too, but who does what and how it affects everything. So the whole cycle starts with building inspector, assessor's office, all the growth starts coming in, goes to my office, treasury office, works together, and of course with the local receipt, we are increasing quite a bit of local revenues. And hopefully we would be able to reduce the gap. But actuals are going to be actuals, estimates are going to be estimates.
Yeah. And we, and again, local revenues, and we're seeing growth, and that's great, and the increase on fees and whatnot, we'll start seeing that roll in, but more than ever. And I say this not, I've only been here for 6 years, but when you look at the historical view for cities and towns, where inflation is and what the Fed, like those rates mean, and the price of eggs just really impact local spending and local in town, but like local people coming here to eat and whatnot. So
Yeah.
little concerned. I mean, I feel like I'm kind of dipping into Counselor Peak's job, but yeah,
There's some stuff we could talk about that, but it probably isn't really about this item. But
we're trying to prepare for the big logical things that could go sideways,
Mhm.
not knowing if they will, while thinking out here about something we've just never seen. And we have too, one of the very conscious decisions we're making, I'm making, is we're not going after big grants with big local matches that aren't specifically attached to an existing project or an existing plan. We have an obligation. So you're looking at integrated stormwater management. You're looking at Ferry Street, the housing projects, the money we've put aside for CPA. And other than that, it's killing me a little bit. We're not going after a lot of the bipartisan infrastructure money unless we're not starting anything new. Because local matches it's a lot of money. We're asking for big money, and that's just we're a part of this in my head. What we have now, it's like a part of it very specifically will be set aside for Main Street and that local match. Now, we probably won't start needing local match until 27, 28. But at least to have that in mind, like one way or another, where, Mass Works, Housing Works, we have 2 applications in now, who knows what we'll get, but if we don't get the full amount, we're going back, like we have to. And so we know what that local match about, is going to be, 25% on $5 million for Ferry Street. One way or another, we've got to find the grant money, that sort of thing. Route 10 is a little different, where we have most of our money, and it happens to be earmarks, and we've already spent that. But Mass DOT comes in, and they'll do their stuff. And we're hoping we don't have to go back for another grant for that stretch of Route 10 that will have a local match. We're hoping that it'll get covered between the Mass DOT and what we have. So, yeah.
Okay.
So that's
By no means I'm saying that this is going to be all perfect in 2 years. It will be better. It will be a little prettier than what we expect. We have to think very conservatively. There are high chances. I'm not saying that we will have to, but we will have to look into some tough decisions when fiscal year 26 and 27 comes. This is going to be, like, if it's 100%, it's like 40% we can save, but 60% we still have to look into it. But this is just like better than 100% in the whole kind of thing.
Sure. Okay. Well, I think that saving for the future makes sense. I would entertain a motion to recommend this appropriation to the full council.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, Councillor Denham,
Aye.
Councillor Trill,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. Motion passes 3-0. That is all the appropriations that we have on our agenda. So I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So, whoa.
Can I just say something really quickly? I'm sorry. I just want to thank the mayor and Auditor Patel. I know that this is a not a easy situation that you're trying to manage, and you're also thinking about the future. And so I know that a lot of thoughtful deliberation has gone into this, and I just want you to know that I appreciate the work that you all have done to both try to protect jobs, as well as try to continue to plan for the future of Easthampton in the ways that you can under the kind of fiscal challenges that we're dealing with, kind of post COVID, et cetera. So I appreciate that.
Okay. I think there's still a motion on the floor to adjourn.
To adjourn, yeah. So I think I said second, or did not? Okay,
Oh,
second.
did you? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Motion is second. Councillor Denham.
Aye.
Councillor Terrell.
Aye.
I vote aye. We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.